What is up? My name is Miguel Antonio, and this is the Live and Create podcast. It's where I interview artists and entrepreneurs about what it means to live a great life and create great things. And this is the pre-COVID edition. It's a series of interviews I did towards the end of 2019. And even though a year has gone by, a whole lot has happened, I still think that these interviews and these people's stories will be of value to you. On this episode, we have the Chicago-based comedy rap group Handsome Naked, who was featured on NBC's Bring the Funny. They talk about the series of decisions that led them to jump on a table and twerk in Jeff Foxworthy's face on national TV. And we also dive into a whole lot of other great topics. They offer some great insight on what it takes to make it in this industry, and also offer some amazing thoughts on what it really means to live a great life and create great things. It was great catching up with these guys. Hope you guys enjoy it.
The Live and Create podcast.
Actually derived of
Speaking words.
Have you heard of?
All right, this is Handsome Naked,
Chicago. Damn it. All right, here we go.
Oh yeah.
And I think we're in. We're
Second
rolling.
sticks.
No. Did that help?
No.
Third
sticks.
So what did we vote on? Are you getting up and leaving, or you guys definitely want to wrap at 6:15? I'm
tell me.
cool with either. Either way. So
I
see
don't.
where we're at.
Yeah.
See where we're at. If we're just like Jesus, man, let's wrap this up.
Maybe it's really good too.
Maybe it's really good. Maybe it's sweet fire.
Hell yeah. So
Sweet fire.
So you guys had so far a hell of a year.
Yeah.
It's been pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's only November. So
It's only November. You still got a month and a half of like awesomeness to kick out.
Borrowed time.
My favorite thing is seeing, I think it was you, twerking in Jeff Foxworthy's face. No, that was that you.
Let's not recognize my
Now let's not say I'm more likable, so
Maybe
it's
it was
probably
just I liked
misremembering.
your ass better, and I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's more of an Eric bit that I just decided to jump on and do.
He
So it makes
commandeered it.
sense.
So how did that decision go for you guys? Were you just like, we're gonna go for it, or you just knew this is
We
happening?
knew we wanted to end with like a pop, so we a lot of times in our concerts we'll bring an audience member up on stage and have them be like our twerk captain for that song.
Twerk.
But
It's a real term. Originally, we were going to have Foxworthy on stage, and we were like, "Oh, it'll be hilarious." to have
But
him
they
dance.
thought it would be better if we went to them and had an interactive moment. So it was kind of like
They wanted us to go to Chrissy and do it.
Yeah,
and we're like,
and
it'll
we're
be,
like-
it'll be more on brand for us.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah,
if
John
we
Lennon
went
might
to everyone
fuck
but
some shit.
Chrissy. Yeah. And she played it well
She was
because
like-
they didn't know we were going to do it.
Yeah.
Because when we told the producers our idea, we were like, "Is it okay if they don't know? We want them to be shocked." They're like, "Yeah,
That's
fine."
awesome. They let you do because it's got to be that full reaction.
Yeah, I don't
of
trust
like,
any of
what
their
the-
acting skills.
It's like they're comedians. We
Yeah.
don't trust their acting skills.
Funny.
I saw
Not great.
Foxworthy's sitcom in the '90s. I don't trust his acting skills.
That's awesome, man. So what would you guys say is like one of the top things you learned by being on the show? Something that just you still to this day are talking
For
about.
me, it's we've always taken a lot of pride in being like professional and prepared and being like good to work with, and that kind of was a validating thing for us because they brought us back for the finale. I think a good
That's
portion of that
huge,
was
man.
because of how much more of those things we were than other people, because they commented a lot like we're filming
There was like an
different
intro
skits
package,
and things,
yeah.
and they were like, "Oh my God, you guys are so much more prepared than these other groups," and we're like, "But they're sketch groups shooting a sketch.
Well,
How is that?"
We came in,
Like,
we
what do
came
you
in
mean?
off book.
Yeah.
And rehearsed.
They had all of
Cue
a
cards.
1 minute sketch. They had full cue cards and like, we wrote this out, and we're like, we can
We're like,
memorize
no,
a minute long.
It's a minute, guys.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
But I
This
guess
is our
the
job.
the other groups.
Didn't do it.
And it helps that like we've been improvising on camera together for 6 years,
Right.
Like so that was
Yeah.
You guys
and we
have
show-
put in the
yeah.
reps on
Yeah.
that.
and all the stuff we do is like based in not all like our music we obviously write and produce, but like most of our sketches and a lot of that we improvise. So
Yeah.
we're used to doing that.
So was it kind of the affirmation, like our hard work, our professionalism is paying off? Was it that thing, the takeaway?
Because
for you?
like we knew talent wise, and it's gonna sound arrogant, but like we
You're
knew
like,
we were
I
good
knew
enough
I had
to do a show like this.
Yeah.
Like so, talent wasn't the question. It was more of like how do we get other people to see this? How do we get
Right.
to recognize it? And how do you sustain that? and I think we did the best we could.
For me too.
You're like, I'll be humble now.
Yeah.
We did the best we could,
We
which
did
was
fine.
amazing.
A solid try. We also, for me, one of the takeaways was that the show felt a lot like a culmination of a long. We had spent like almost an entire year putting out a new music video and a single every month.
You guys hustling.
and then we decided at that point, we're like, oh, this is basically half of a full album with almost 8 music videos or 9 music videos.
Yeah.
And then NBC happened, and we're like, well, let's the takeaway for me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We realized that being on the show was not in and of itself going to like take us to the next level, but we're like, okay, well, let's get this album finished concurrent to being on the show, so that we have something for all these potential new people who have seen us on TV to look for on the internet. We can say, hey, find us, and we were able to do pretty well with it.
Because it was like February or March, I think, if my timeline is correct, that we found out we were going to be on the show. So it was probably March or April when we're like, we should put out an album to coincide with our appearance. And so it's like, oh, we have 2 months to make this whole
Exactly.
Okay,
I
let's
remember,
go to
like-
work shit together.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was the thing I was most like proud of. I guess was like we got back and I was like, okay, well, you guys know that if the show airs July 4th or
We had
8th
to
or whatever,
guess all
I was
these
like,
dates,
we
yeah.
just were kind of guessing it when we would air, and so we were like, all right, well, we would have to submit the album. Like our goal was to get some pre-sales and get on the iTunes chart,
Right.
And so we were like, well, if we're gonna have pre-sales, we gotta have the album submitted, which means the album has to be done, which means we gotta get it to distributors by 2 weeks before that. And I was
Which
like,
means we have to have
I was
rollout
like,
material.
I was like, we didn't have all of that in the
grabs
next.
all of it.
Like it was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, if you roll the calendar back, that's a week and a half from now, and so we would be like, oh,
Hey guys, we're not going to sleep, and let's go.
and we like met and finished it all, and then because once it was done, it was
9
like,
songs in a week.
yeah,
let's
we
do
were like,
that.
oh, well, we're done now for a month, and then it was just like me planning rollout stuff, Eric getting stuff to us, and like it was all the package was done. And we were like, now we just got to submit it and send it, and on, like that's the thing I was saying I'm most proud of was we then got on the iTunes chart, and then we got on from that the Billboard
And I think
comedy
the
chart. and
iTunes
we were like-
chart went pretty well for you guys.
Yeah,
It actually got us to Billboard too. I
Yeah,
think
so
that
we
was
were
a
we were
large
number
part.
2 on iTunes. Like our album debuted number 2
say
on
that's
iTunes
pretty
comedy.
damn good.
Yeah.
And then because of that and the show, then we were top 10 on the Billboard chart, which I was
Yeah.
like, there's
Which was
no
an
way.
affirmation of like, oh, we need to hustle and get
That was
Exactly.
we got it was a Friday. I remember that
Yep.
we got an email from Billboard like, "Hey, it looks like you guys might chart next week. Can I get this information from you?"
You're
We're
like,
"This is a scam."
We thought it was a scam for
You're
sure.
waiting for the, hey, you need $500 to,
Yeah.
right?
So we did it, but then like when they the Monday came around, and we're keeping up on the charts. Like, is this real? And we weren't on it. And Tuesday we weren't on it. We're like, oh, I guess we just missed it. That's too bad. And then Wednesday, I think it was
Yeah,
that
we
we got
popped
on.
up.
We're like, wait, how do we pop on a Wednesday?
So what number on Billboards again?
We're
10.
number 10 on
Number
the comedy
10.
album. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It
And
was,
the fact that, like, because I've seen it, like, with The Voice, where you get people who are in The Voice.
Do you want me to make him move?
What's up, buddy?
He can go.
oh, he's
His
never going
eye
to move
is
now.
never
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He's like, do
stuck
you
there now."
really want me to move?
Oh, good. Right by the record. Oh, man, that was brilliant.
All right.
Oh, God.
Oh, here we go.
It's gone now.
So in between each ball
We'll
throw.
just in between each ball throw. No.
But I've seen it with The Voice where you get
over
someone
here,
who
over
gets this attention, and but then there's no real follow up, because like
Yeah.
you said, it's like it's great exposure,
Yeah.
but the question is, what do you do next?
Yeah,
You
that's
guys
The takeaway is like
leverage
literally
it
that the work
amazing.
was just beginning. Like
Right.
in order to capitalize on it, we had to do a ton of work, and then also to make it the opportunity that we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
It was like we have to go and make sure that our website's
Yeah.
sharp,
Yeah.
and that we have all our rollout
and the
material
branding,
that
like
we're-
your promo
Brad
photos you
redid our
guys
whole
put out,
YouTube
like,
page to make it look more professional.
Thumbnails are
Like,
all in line, all of that
That's
stuff.
awesome.
So yeah,
It's
that
making
was,
me,
but it was-
it's making me like do a mental note, like, shit, I gotta do that.
Every now and then you go like, wait, is the bio on our Facebook page updated? You're like, I
the
have
answer's
no.
always
You're like, I don't
no.
remember
It's
that
always
member.
no. It's
Who
always
was that?
yeah. Who does that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but to your point, it was crazy to me being on that show, hanging out with the other artists, and I got the impression from a lot of them, definitely not all of them, but from a lot of them, like, we're on the show now, and they were like exhaling, and I was like, what? No, this isn't the
This is the
culmination.
start.
This is
is
yeah,
that
this is
big
step
first
one.
step.
Yeah, are you crazy?
Now, for you guys, did you? I guess. How did you know that was the case? Did you have someone kind of mentoring you, or you just
I
kind of
think
figure
it's
it out?
it's
You
a
just know that
long-held
I-
skepticism.
I was just
of
gonna say,
everything.
Eric
because
is
you've
that.
been in the industry for a
Yeah.
while. That's
I'm
where
like,
the healthy
yeah.
skepticism.
Nothing is real. This is all a
Yeah,
fallacy.
I just passed 10 years of being a professional comedian, so yeah, it's those 10 years.
For me, it was like honestly what you kind of said before. I've had friends be on The Voice and American Idol and stuff, and then they get back and they don't put music out,
Right.
And I'll be like, how did you not? How did you squander? You got 5,000 new followers who all love your voice. all you had to do was like record yourself at a piano playing a song. It could be crappy quality, and it would get so many views.
It could be a cover.
It could be a cover of whatever you want. And I was like, to have nothing and never capitalize on that and throw away that potential is an insult to everyone else who wanted to be on that show who didn't get on it.
Exactly.
We're one of 20. I was like, in NBC's opinion, we're one of 3 acts out of Chicago who are worthy of being on their show, which is, I mean, and we've talked about insane that there were not more Chicago people there.
Right.
But I'm like,
you're thinking of the list of names.
Exactly, and I'm like,
how
if
is
we're
Chicago not represented?
Yeah,
It's
so
one
I'm
of the best
like,
comedy cities in the world.
but still, we're one of 40
I
acts.
think it is the best, by far the best comedy city in the world.
Humble again.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, so I'm like,
where I live. So.
You're like,
Until I moved to Boise.
then they kind of just.
It's number 2 comedy city in the
But
country.
they got mountains and sun. As we
Yep.
discovered. That's amazing. So, but yeah, it's amazing that you guys leverage that. And then now, so the next thing you guys are talking about it off camera a little bit. You guys are working on yet the next step. So break down what you guys are doing next.
So we kind of put this like into tiers, sort of, and so like one of the tiers is just getting like the best agent we can, the best manager we can to help our touring schedules and filling those out, and then another tier is kind of like getting back into the college market because we feel like with the NBC credit that'll help that out a lot, and then it's getting back into local shows because a lot of people like one of the first things you said to me when you came in today was you thought I moved to LA.
Yeah,
a lot of people in Chicago in the comedy community are also, whenever they see me, I thought you moved to LA. So it's like, we need to kind of reestablish ourselves in this. So getting a bunch of local shows, and then Eric and Brad are working on editing our pilot that we filmed. So we have a lot of different avenues that we're trying to go down.
and like new music.
And we're going
our music group.
and we're going to do a
Sometimes
that too.
new music videos.
I've got about,
Yeah.
Going to do a
almost
live
a full
on-stage
album's worth
special.
of new music we're
That's
that
amazing.
are working on right now. Yeah.
And we want to do a special.
Yeah, we're gonna do we've been in a group now for over 6 years, so we want to put our best 45 minutes to an hour of material on like a live special.
Yeah.
Which will be another thing which will help us justify to places like comedy clubs as to why a hip hop group deserves to be booked in that
Like a comedy
environment,
club.
because that's
Right.
where we are most comfortable. But it's also often a little hard to explain unless we have sort of an example product.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think that'll be a great way to stamp like this
Exactly.
is what we do though. Because you listen to album like I was listening on Spotify.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, is it music? Is it like, are we just rap? Are we actually? Because you have some stuff where it's like there's a while where you're like, oh yeah, that was funny too. It's like it's just a cool vibe and song, and then. Oh yeah, this is a comedy album, and then he slips something in there too.
Right.
So
That's
where
something
you
we
can
take a
see
lot
the
of pride
whole
in.
thing,
Yes.
and that's all I
Yeah.
knew about you guys is seeing you live 1st, where it's like, oh yeah, this is great. But,
Well, that's
Thank
I
you.
often tell people that like listening to the album, watching us live, and like watching a music video are 3 very different experiences.
so warm.
That like I've had friends that probably shouldn't say this in an interview, but I've had friends be like, I'm not a fan of your music. And my response is always, but watch us live and I guarantee you'll have fun. And I've never had
and then you
somebody
go twerk
who's
right
come-
in there,
Yeah.
and you're seeing like front row, my ass,
Because
in your face.
we read a lot like a comic doing crowd work. That's
Yeah.
like what our sort of vibe is. It's like it's like a hip hop show plus crowd work,
Right.
plus any stand up
Yeah.
crowd. So it tends to catch people who are going to be skeptical of it by the end.
Oh, yeah.
usually.
And I can see
We're
how
so
the
different.
special
Somebody's
works.
going to like one of us. We cover the spectrum.
It's
of everything.
usually Brad.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I do the least talking.
Yeah.
So then they like me by default.
It's
All the
91%
introverts are coming
Brad,
over by you. They're like, hey, let's hang out next to each other.
Hey man, you seem like the approachable one because
Like I
you
said-
didn't talk on stage.
Most talking, best talking.
Yeah.
That's how it usually goes.
Less words.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah, and my job is just to be so much of an asshole that it makes them look better.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. And then there's people who just love assholes.
Yeah.
On occasion, it happens.
It happens.
Yeah, it's weird. Because like,
Feels
kinda
like
how
you're
we-
like the Jesselnick of the group in a sense.
Yes, yeah. I always say that my comedy spirit animal is Don Rickles. So because I think he established being the lovable asshole better than anyone else ever has.
That's right. Yeah, Jesselnick's not. Almost doesn't even skirt the lovable. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah.
but it's so funny.
He's a great writer.
So I've been following you guys now since I think we first met. And it wasn't like Arkansas or some random.
Something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
probably about 5 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while, and what I've loved just watching the content and the consistency and just the hustle, man. It's just, there's times where I'm like, damn, I need to do something because they just keep doing it.
I feel that way about you and watching you, the projects you've been able to do. For real. I'm like,
thank you.
damn, this guy is.
We got to get
always
some
got
stuff
something
going on.
So we're mutually inspiring each other, or we're just like,
Yes.
If we were on
works,
Instagram
though.
fans, we each would have put out half the music.
like roll over one day, like, ah, damn it, they put out another video.
Well, but there is something though like that's appealing, especially because we're DIY, and you know, there's something appealing about recognizing that someone else has just said, "Oh, I get that media creation isn't all that hard, and I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put myself in the role I want to be in, and whether it's creating a podcast or getting your band out and on tour and doing college shows, or it's making music videos all the time, which is what we spend a lot of our time doing. But like it isn't that you need someone to come and pluck you out of obscurity because you're a creative genius and they're going to pay you money to do something.
Exactly.
You have to put yourself in the role to do it.
Yeah, you guys are building it up,
Right.
And so that hustle. Is there like one person in the group that is the driver, or all of you
we
kind of
take
build that
turns.
way? Or?
Yeah, we definitely take turns.
Okay.
We having different skill sets and different avenues that we're more equipped for. I do the least. That's why they're smiling.
You're like, he's more equipped for
so-
this right here.
Yeah,
We
so
just
like,
let him talk
originally-
about the shit we're doing.
But there has
Brad
been.
probably does the most.
But it's funny because there has been times, we've talked about this before, like at the very beginning of Handsome Naked, we got together, we made 2 EPs and an album in like 4 months. And then I went and worked on a cruise ship, and it was like them doing stuff. I got back, and Chucho was in tour coat, and it was like us doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then
about 2
then
years,
Eric
I
moved
was
to
on
New
the
York
road.
to do Eric moved to New York to do film school, and it was us doing stuff.
So we've always
And
kind
so
of
it's always
hobbled
like,
our way to the
yeah,
finish
exactly.
line.
And even like Eric said, we're super DIY to the point where like we don't have a manager, we don't have an agent, we don't have we don't have somebody doing our recording studio and production stuff. Like we're doing that. I'm like, well, we want to do music videos. Like Eric learns how to make music videos.
Yeah.
Like we want to like book
Literally
shows,
that.
but like
see
we
the progression
email
of your
shows.
videos too, from the very
Oh my
first
gosh,
ones
it's-
all the way to now.
And same thing with my
And hearing the
production, and
yeah.
with his rapping and like all of it. It's like
A lot of people have not a lot of people, but certain people have said that we should take off our early albums from the internet because we've gotten so much better since then.
Right.
But we love people being like, no, we've put out 7 albums and 35 music videos in 6 years.
Damn.
So we want you to see that this isn't a joke to us. We take this seriously.
And it's okay that you're
Yeah.
seeing the early stuff because it's a progression.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
see
it's
our
a
growth.
clear progression.
Right.
It's not like, well, that one is like it just keeps.
And I
getting
also
better.
think the early stuff isn't bad. Like we've
Right,
talked about,
right,
like
yeah.
the production value might not, like maybe the video doesn't look amazing, or maybe the beat is kind of like cheesy and whatever. But
Our
there's so
verses
many
are way
things.
more jokey. than
But there's
good,
things that we still like to this day perform, like Sandwich Song.
Yeah.
We to this day perform all the time. That was on our first EP.
Yeah.
There's like
Making-
3 or
yeah,
4
our
songs
opener
on
is
those
one of the
first
first
couple
things we
EPs
ever
we
wrote.
still perform
Yeah.
all the time, and I'm like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah.
awesome. I love it that like just the team aspect where you guys kind of
Yeah.
pick up each other.
Absolutely.
As a solo artist, it's more like I have people behind the scenes that kind of help out and running, but it's cool to have like all the pieces right here in front of you guys.
It's interesting because having being 3 artists coming together and for 6 years putting out so much content and having to deal with me being gone for 2 years, him being gone for 2 years, him being gone for a while, so we've never really been in the same area for an extended period of time, and we really haven't had much drama, if any, in the group.
Maybe
which
that
is
helps.
So strange.
Maybe that's the secret. Bands need to not
Yeah,
hang
you need
out as
space.
much.
Yeah.
And just be
Absolutely.
gone.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of bands. I've been part of bands where you're just like, no one wants to talk to each other
Yeah.
anymore.
And then we that's what happened. We get these little runs of time on the road where we have
Hardcore buddy time.
hardcore
We buddy
buddy time.
really hard
until
for like
wee
3
hours
days.
of the morning.
And then we come back and like we're married and we like I have a
Like,
dog.
peace
and a
out, guys.
house,
Let's
and,
do our lives.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you guys later. We'll make comedy raps another day.
We'll have studio time, and then
Yeah.
back to somehow it's like work too, which is awesome. But yeah,
That's killer, man.
Yeah.
Well, and just the thing about like artistry for me is I love finding out what kind of makes people tick as well, like the philosophical things behind it, like even us talking about hustle, where does that come from, all that. For you guys, and you can kind of just fire it out as you're feeling it, but when you think of the idea of living a great life, like how would you define that? And I'm curious too, do you guys define that as a group as well, or is it just individual?
I think we've kind of discussed it a couple times. I think there is kind of an answer for the group, but to me it feels kind of like a range. Okay, so and we talked about this when we found out for sure that we'd be going to NBC to do the show. We're like, okay, so now at least to me, what is we have the opportunity to figure out a way to make enough money doing this part-time to where it constitutes enough actual income in our lives every month to where it's not something that takes a toll on our families or our other careers. So it's something we can it just takes care of itself and it makes a little money.
Yeah.
That's the minimum, right? And then you can do it until you can't do it anymore, until you don't want to do it anymore. And it's just got its own longevity to it. That's
right.
the minimum. At the maximum, it becomes a full-time career. But that's
right.
like how much you can put into it, the breaks that you are able to hang around until you get, or like how much you're able to put yourself in the bobottleneck, or to keep putting yourself in the role you want to be in until someone sees it or recognizes it. You know what I mean?
And then
sometimes
they want to fund that role.
Sometimes, and then they're going to fund that role. But you know, it was like that's sort of an encapsulation of all of it. It was like at minimum, it's something that will not take a toll on our lives and will make us money.
Nice.
In a part-time way. At maximum, it could be a career.
Yeah. So and that's for
that
you
would
guys
be,
collectively.
That would.
in a sense.
I mean,
or you more personally?
that was maybe my version of it
Okay.
when we circled around to the realization that we would have a TV credit for the very odd and specific thing that we do, which we never maybe thought we would have. But.
Would you say then, in a sense, I almost hear you saying like you want to be able to enjoy this.
Enjoy longevity for my
Enjoy
creative
longevity.
projects. Yeah, that's a much better way
and
to
justify it monetarily in a way that normally you can't for a passion project.
Yes,
normally
absolutely.
passion projects are free. You pay for them.
Yeah,
you
it's
pay
the-
lots of money. We all know it's the passion part of it. The passion is paying.
How much we actually broke even on this?
That's what
All
I'm saying,
right,
yeah.
hell yeah.
You died of exposure.
And so doing that, like
Yeah.
it's like when can it become a thing where you don't stress about, well, how do I make money outside of this because this passion project is making me money and it is
Right.
my job.
Yeah, and that is the range part of it. Like it could be anywhere from that it has longevity to like that it's a full blown career.
That's cool.
Yeah, for me.
Love it. How about for you? Or Chucho, were you ready?
My answer is very different and very personal because it's not like I was like.
Well, my answer was kind of
It's sort of for the group. Yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say my
Right
personal. No, because I have the same one for the group.
pretty much
But I was going to say my personal. Like your question is very like
sexual.
sexual.
That's what I
Super
really.
sexual.
That was my goal.
That's what I figured. But like even like we talk about being. There's a dog hair on my mouth. Why?
That is also very sexual.
That's what I was thinking. I just,
And now the interview begins.
It had been there. It had been there for like 4 minutes, and I was like, at this point, I can't leave.
the
because
weird
it's driving me
fetishes of
crazy.
dog hair and philosophical
getting Frank's face
questions.
this whole time.
Why would I have a
We
dog
might
hair
have
on
to
my
do
mouth?
Is he?
He's totally in it.
He pawed the
He's had some
anyway.
great faces.
I was going to say like so we were talking about like we've all been entertainers or like I've been a musician now freelancing for I don't know, like 10 years.
Yeah.
And so it's funny how I think it has so much more to do with being content is the wrong word, but being happy with what I'm getting to do now.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure we're all the same way as artists. I'm never content with what I'm doing right now. I'm always like, what's the next thing we're doing and how can that be happy?
It's the curse of artistry. where it's
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
I can barely listen to the stuff I put out, just last month. 'Cause
And
I'm like,
that's ambition.
I want to fix
It's
this.
ambition, and
That's
like we
ambition
were
just
talking
as
about
much as
earlier.
it's artistry.
It's
Yeah,
not.
for
It's
sure.
and at the same time that it can be a thing that I think you need to keep in check. Like I need to keep it in check to not always be like, well, I'm never happy, man. Like why can't I be happy and enjoy? Like this has been, like you say, on paper the best year by far of Handsome Naked. Yet I'm like. It's still the hardest. It's still like it hasn't been the easiest year. It's
And you
definitely
guys
gotten harder.
And you guys already
and it's
have
gotten
all the
more-
other things stacked, like your tiers.
and like in the list of stuff to do now is not like let's just make beats and
Right.
write comment. Now it's
The
like
stakes are higher
all
than
the
ever.
other things to do.
It's like
And-
now we run a media company and
Yeah.
we do social and,
And-
we do
yep.
we did song commissions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
We're
it's
like
definitely-
let's pull in money so that we can submit to festivals and get back to the college. It's a lot of work.
The question of like how do you have a great life or like make
like
a great,
how would you define living a great life? How would you define?
Man, it's a deep question I've been talking to my wife with forever. But like trying to grapple with that, like balancing my ambition of like what's next and what am I going to be doing in 5 years and looking back and going, wow, that was so long ago. I'm so much better now. But also being happy and content with where I am and being like proud of what we've done and what, you know what I mean? So balancing that.
I love that. So just happiness.
Right now,
or
it's been
contentment,
juggling
would you
those
say,
two
is the
balls.
biggest
I wouldn't
thing
say
for
I've balanced them. I just juggle them both, and then figure out. I go back and forth between one and the other. Super depressed, super happy. Super depressed, super happy. And just the arms are getting wider is really what's happening. They used to just be really simple because you just balance them in your hands. And now I'm throwing one up 100 feet, sprinting 50 feet over, and I'm throwing this one up and then sprinting back.
Dude.
Frank gets it.
It's a great juggling metaphor.
Yeah.
Luckily, my wife's a little more like I'm the crazy artist, kind of all over the place. Like you said, super depressed, super happy, and all that. And she's normally like, "You'll be fine. It'll be okay.
It's all right.
We're getting
But
through
hopefully
it."
she has that same reaction when you're really happy too.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is amazing. You'll
Like
be
I was saying
fine.
earlier, it's like, well, is that a
Only
good
okay.
opportunity? Is that a good thing? It's like, it's really good. She's like, okay, well, let me know when that works.
Yeah. Well, but that's part of it though. When you're creative, you have to report something new to people. Always. Yeah. You have to for people who aren't in the world that you're in, can't wrap their head around incremental progress. They just unless you have something new or a new achievement to report to people, it doesn't always read to people who aren't in the creative world.
What is it you do?
I'm doing well right now, but nothing specific.
I don't have a way to tell you that.
I feel good about what I'm
And
doing.
my
Some
bank
days that is
account
the win,
wouldn't-
right? Where you don't feel like a dumbass. You're like, no,
That's
I feel
kind of
good
the
about
goal,
this
man.
day.
Yeah.
No, I do
I don't
stuff.
feel like a total imposter today. So, yeah.
So true.
Yeah,
So true.
for sure.
So how about for you?
For me, I kind of define a great life as being able to do what I want, not being beholden to anything. So that's what's kind of unique about the success that we've had from my standpoint is people are starting to know me as a rapper, which is not number one on my list of things. I'm an actor, then comedian, all these other things that I've been really busting my ass for years to get good at. And then it's like, oh no, but rapping is kind of what's going well for me right now. Cool, it's just weird. So for over 3 years now, I've been able to live off of the money I make as an actor.
That's awesome.
Or whatever we've been generating, or teaching improv, those kinds of things. But it's all within the industry.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what my focus is I could have a part-time job, but I don't want to unless I have to. I want to be able to wake up and do what I want. I want to be able to come and hang out with these guys and create some nonsense whenever their wives will let them. Yeah, right.
He's like, let me check the bank account.
So we're all talking about the same.
I can't come over today.
So really, it's my goal is kind of right now. I want to keep that streak going because it's not I'm good. It's all right, yep, I made it. I know I got 2 more months now. That's kind of where I've been for a few years, and so hopefully I can get to the point where I'm not worried about a month from now. I'm I'm good for the rest of the year already.
Right.
And now I can start planning more things and doing more things that I want to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's just the sustainability piece for
sure.
you, if I'm hearing you right. That's awesome.
Yeah, when I first came to Chicago to start doing comedy, I want to be the highest grossing comedian, and now I'm just if I can make a living off of this, I'm gonna be thrilled.
Dude, I was smiling because I know that progression. Where it's I remember sharing my goals with some people where I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. When I look back on that, I'm like, oh my God. Or it's can I pay some bills with my craft and the thing that I love?
Yeah.
But in a way, I almost feel, just listening to you guys, there is a theme of sustainability, whether it be internally, because it's we can't just keep going on that roller coaster, or just can I live life and still make it worth it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And keep plenty of space in that life for my creative pursuit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I tore my Achilles a few months ago, and so I went 8 weeks without being on a stage. It was a week before we went to NBC Which is why I was on that scooter in that episode.
Amazing. That's like amazing timing.
Yeah, right? So 8 weeks without being on a stage other than that NBC show, I had a lot of time to think. And so I thought about, in my 10 years here, what's the longest period of time I've gone without being on a stage? And the longest I could come up with was 2 weeks.
Wow.
So 8 weeks without performing, I was going nuts.
We get it, Chucho. You book lots of shows. All right.
I
in 2 weeks, I haven't gotten.
do a lot of local free improv shows. So
Do you still do Pimp Prov?
I do every Friday. Yeah,
Dude, I still talk about that
Pimp
show.
Prov is
Like, there's
it's
this
such
like
a good
show
show.
in Chicago. It's called Pimp Prov, and you got to check it out. It's like they had some weird band open for them once. I don't think I've met many bands who have opened for a comedy show. So,
Especially Pimp Prov.
and especially Pimp Prov.
Perfect combo.
in the 16 years of Pimp Prov being around, I only know of 2 bands that have ever opened.
Right
So,
on. So
yeah.
I'm glad
Yes.
that we got to be part of that.
You were both.
You rocked so hard that you were both. I'm telling you, man.
I love it. So, transitioning to the next question is, how would you define, or what does it look like for you to create great things?
I'll know it when we create something great.
I mean, my answer is pretty specific, I think.
You're like, that was great.
Right now, it's like, that'll work.
Oh, man. Sorry, I said a big back pop. It felt really good. I feel very open to answer this question. I'm in my body.
You stop.
like,
Go.
I think for me, the answer is, because I'm kind of very focused on our media. That's sort of what I do for the group. I think a TV product for us is the height of, that would be a big feather in the cap, height of success in terms of the fact that it's a thing that would showcase all of what we do. From having the chemistry that we have, the dynamic we've established as a group, and the ability to improvise and to perform on screen together, to actually showcasing our music. And it'd be a unique product, and I think it's the marriage of a lot of things that would also provide that sustainability, if we were able to get to that level. So to me, it's that is the sort of pinnacle of what,
where it's like,
if we could do that, it would allow us to generate a small fan base that would allow us to potentially tour off of that fan base. If a product that was paid for, or at least in part paid for, or subsidized, or afforded by a deal of some kind,
like, are fully paid for with no reimbursement.
hit us up. But yeah, I mean, that to me, I think it's a TV product. That's what I envision for us. I might be way off on that, but that's where my head is focused right now.
My answer was way more abstract. I was going to say
Well, and that's, I kind of like how
Yeah.
it takes different forms for different minds.
Yeah,
So
my brain immediately went with like, my idea of great content for us is like something that people want to listen, something that people want to listen to over and over again because it's super catchy.
This is a good answer, too.
But it also
it helps algorithms too.
yeah, and it just but it also like it in terms of like what we make, what we create. It's like you say, it's music that's good enough to listen to and be so distracted by how good it is that you didn't realize it was funny. And then all of a sudden, like a joke pops out, and you go,
too.
Exactly. Like that's like my goal is like it's something that's catchy and good enough, and the production quality is there. And the song is good enough, because I think so often in music comedy, the song suffers for the sake of the comedy, which I just don't let happen. I'm always like, well, my only thing I care about is the song. Like the comedy part, even this last album, we go back and forth, and Eric would be like, can we make this part funnier? And I'd be like, I'm so focused on making sure the intro is like how an actual like top 40 song would be introed. Sure, whatever. And
Like,
so
as long as I get to do this.
but yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's something that I'm like is
all of us, but me.
it's catchy and good enough that we want to listen to it again, but still makes you laugh even the 10th time because you didn't notice this little ad lib or whatever other thing.
That's a much better like.
No, but you're right. That a
Wide
TV,
answer.
but a TV product
Wide.
is the specific answer of something great that I was saying to him earlier. If we had a TV show, we would then still be able to put out albums, and they would do better because people have seen our TV show. We'd be able to
Like
tour.
Flight of the Conchords.
Exactly, it's Flight of the Conchords. Like then
Hip
we'd
hop
be-
Flight of the Conchords
we'd
is
be able
often
to-
what we say to describe ourselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then we'd
And
be able
that
to
is
tour because we've been on our own TV show. We'd be able to all the other things we talk about doing. We'd be able to do if we had a TV show. So
No, but yes, I also liked your other answer.
yeah, my abstract
Are
answer.
we all kissed now?
Music that makes
I thought that was what was no
beats that knock.
I try to end every podcast like that.
with mild discord followed by a group kiss.
Yeah, and animal hair.
Lots of animal hair in the mouth. I'll get it. I'll scoop it up. I'll scoop
Do
it
you
up.
need some?
He has
Chucho,
the
your
undercoat.
answer?
Oh yeah,
His
he's
hands
a
are-
big thick newfie, but he's
Chucho's
not too
hands
bad.
are ice cold. I think he might be dead.
have a bad heart.
My
so
feet
I
are
don't
so
get good
warm.
Well,
circulation.
it's so ice cold here
It is cold.
that
That is. Frank's
It's
keeping me
Chicago's
nice.
nice.
Yeah,
His- he's right on my feet. It
Other
feels
than the
amazing.
comedy scene, best comedy
best
scene.
comedy scene
Worst
until
weather.
you moved to Boise.
My answer was going to be pretty close to Brad's actually. With the great, I was going to say that something that can live in both the comedy and the music realm.
Yeah.
That hip hop fans that don't care about comedy enjoy, and comedy fans who don't like hip hop enjoy.
That's
and those are always my favorite compliments that we get from. We've done a couple like straight hip hop shows that didn't have to do with comedy, and people being like, "Oh, you were actually good." Those kind of backhanded compliments.
They're
mean
all in
so
the back
much.
with the drink, like, "Oh, is this the comedy
Right?
rap?"
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, okay."
We do get that.
Oh,
Or-
you can actually spit.
I was gonna say, or the 85-year-old woman in the front row who's like, "There's no way she's gonna like this," and then stays after the show to tell us how much they loved it.
She's like, "When you
Which has
twerked in
happened
my
multiple
face,"
times,
I was
yeah.
like, "Yes."
We've had multiple people 60 plus who have thoroughly enjoyed our show. When
Nice,
the
man.
show started, we were like, "Oh boy,
See how
you're
this
gonna hate
goes."
this." But
It's either they'll really hate it or really love it
Yeah.
at that point. They're not going to be in between.
Yeah.
So. Well, I dig it, guys. Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
man.
making the time. I'm excited to see the next tiers and how that works for you guys. And good luck on the pilot and
Thanks,
shopping
man.
that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll get to do another one where you're like, dude, we just got that pilot out,
Yeah.
and it'd be great. So
Good
keep
idea.
We
those.
can read all the negative reviews together. It'll be great.
just want to tell you guys
Just
that
do
that I
one
quit
full
the group.
podcast of
Yeah.
reading
Yeah,
negative
so-
reviews. I have a friend, his name's Keelan Donovan, brilliant songwriter, and he did a thing on like every Sunday. He would just screenshot a negative like YouTube comment
Yeah.
that was like the funniest. And I think it became a thing where other people were like, "I want to get on that."
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, they
They
started
just-
bailing him on
but it was.
generated bad comments.
I think it was awesome though. So,
That's hilarious.
guys.
Oh, man.
I love
Thank
it. Thanks
you.
for making the time.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
keep
It's good to
hustling.
see you again,
Good
buddy.
seeing you, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
Boom. That was fun.
Hard
Thank
out.
you guys.
You just like.
Thank you for listening to the Live and Create podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe and leave a comment or a review.
The Live and Create podcast.